Hey everybody, and welcome back to Man of Thoughts, the channel where we delve deep into the mysteries of the human mind. Today, we're diving headfirst into the fascinating world of psychology to uncover 10 mind-blowing facts about human behavior. We're talking about the stuff they don't teach you in school, the subtle biases, the hidden influences, the downright strange ways our brains are wired. So, buckle up, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You don't want to miss this wild ride. You ever notice how everyone seems to think they're an above-average driver? Statistically, that's just not possible. This is a prime example of illusory superiority. We tend to overestimate our own abilities, whether it's driving, intelligence, or even our sense of humor. It's like we're walking around with these rose-colored glasses on, blinding us to our own shortcomings. This kind of thinking can have real-world consequences. It can lead to bad decisions, missed opportunities, and even dangerous situations. So the next time you're feeling overly confident, take a step back and ask yourself, am I really as good as I think I am? You've heard the saying, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Well, in psychology, it's often more like, it's not what you say, it's how you stand. Your body language speaks volumes. The way you hold yourself, your facial expressions, even the slightest gestures. They all send powerful signals to the people around you. Think about it. Someone who stands tall with their shoulders back and makes direct eye contact. They just ooze confidence, don't they? On the other hand, someone who's slouching, avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, they might come across as insecure or even untrustworthy. And the crazy thing is, most of the time we're doing this stuff unconsciously. But make no mistake, people are picking up on it, whether they realize it or not. So if you want to make a good impression, pay attention to your body language. It could make all the difference. We all like to think we're good judges of character, that we can see past the superficial and get to the heart of who someone really is. But the truth is, we're all susceptible to something called the halo effect. In a nutshell, this means that our first impressions of someone can heavily influence how we perceive them in the long run. If someone makes a positive first impression, maybe they're physically attractive, well-dressed, or just have a winning smile, we're more likely to see them in a positive light, even if they give us reasons not to down the road. On the flip side, if someone makes a negative first impression, it can be an uphill battle for them to change our minds. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who seemed great at first, but then you started noticing some red flags? That's the halo effect in action. Now, this next one's a tough one to talk about, but it's crucial to understand. It's called the bystander effect, and it basically means that the more people who witness an emergency situation, the less likely any one person is to intervene. You'd think it'd be the opposite, right? That a larger group would be more likely to help. But the sad reality is, when we're surrounded by others, we tend to diffuse responsibility. We assume someone else will step up so we don't have to. One of the most famous examples of this is the tragic case of Kitty Genovese. She was attacked and murdered in New York City in 1964, and while there were multiple witnesses who heard her screams, no one stepped in to help. It's a stark reminder that we can't always rely on others to take action. Sometimes, we have to be the ones to step up. Let me ask you something. Have you ever done something that went against your values, your beliefs, or even just your better judgment? We all have, right? It's human nature to slip up sometimes. But here's the thing. When our actions and our beliefs are out of whack, it creates a kind of mental discomfort. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, and it can be a powerful motivator. See, our brains don't like inconsistency. They want our thoughts, feelings, and actions to all be on the same page. So, when there's a disconnect, we feel this urge to resolve it. We can change our behavior to align with our beliefs. Or, and this is the more common route, we can actually change our beliefs to justify our actions. Think about it. Smokers know that smoking is bad for them, but they continue to do it. So, to ease the dissonance, they might convince themselves that the health risks are exaggerated. Now, this next one's a real head-scratcher. It's called the placebo effect, and it basically means that our beliefs can have a real measurable impact on our physical health. You see it all the time in medical studies. They'll give one group of people a real medication and another group a placebo. A sugar pill, basically. And often, the people taking the placebo will experience some kind of improvement, even though they're not getting the actual treatment. When we believe that something is going to make us feel better, our brains release endorphins and other feel-good chemicals that can actually alleviate symptoms. Now, I'm not saying that the placebo effect is a cure-all, but it does highlight the incredible connection between our minds and our bodies. Ever met someone who was so confident in their abilities, so convinced of their own brilliance, that it made you wonder if you were missing something? Well, there's a good chance you were witnessing the Dunning-Kruger effect in action. This psychological phenomenon, named after the researchers who first described it, basically says that people with low ability at a task often overestimate their ability. In other words, the less you know, the more confident you are that you know it all. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? The people who should be the most humble, the most willing to learn, are often the ones who are the most resistant to feedback. Why does this happen? Because they lack the very skills and knowledge necessary to recognize their own incompetence. Let's face it, we humans are social creatures. We crave connection, belonging, and yes, even validation from others. And this deep-seated need to fit in can lead to some interesting behaviors, like, for instance, following the crowd, even when we know better. This is known as social proof, and it's the driving force behind trends, fads, and even mass hysteria. Think about it. Have you ever gone to a restaurant because it was packed, assuming that the food must be good if everyone else is eating there? Or bought a product because it had thousands of 5-star reviews online? That's social proof at work. We see others doing something, enjoying something, or endorsing something, and we automatically assume it must be worthwhile. But it can also lead us astray, especially if we're not careful. From the time we're little kids, we're drawn to stories. Whether it's fairy tales, myths, or just anecdotes from our own lives, stories have this incredible power to captivate our attention, stir our emotions, and even shape our beliefs. But why is that? What is it about stories that makes them so darn compelling? Well, for starters, our brains are wired for narrative. We think in stories. We make sense of the world through stories. It's how we organize information, connect with others, and even understand our own identities. But stories are more than just a way to process information. They're also a powerful tool for persuasion. Stories bypass our rational defenses and tap directly into our emotions. They create empathy, build trust, and make us more receptive to new ideas. You ever notice how being around certain people can just lift your mood, like their energy is infectious and you can't help but smile when you're with them? Well, it turns out there's a scientific explanation for that. Emotional contagion. It's like a psychological version of catching a cold, except instead of germs, we're spreading emotions. We pick up on the emotions of those around us through their facial expressions, their tone of voice, their body language, even their scent. And just like that, we start to mirror those emotions ourselves. If someone's happy, we're more likely to feel happy too. If they're stressed, we might start to feel our own anxiety levels rising. Back in the day, being able to quickly and accurately read the emotions of others was crucial for survival. Well, folks, there you have it. 10 mind-blowing psychology facts that just might change the way you see yourself and the world around you. If you found this deep dive into the human psyche as fascinating as I did, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking content. Until next time, keep those minds curious and remember the most fascinating discoveries are often the ones we make about ourselves.